Welcome, people. Welcome to the Personal Exit Plan. I am your host, Darian George. Today, we're going to be moving away from Latin America. I know a lot of people have been asking when we're going to interview people in different parts of the world. So I'm actually going to be introducing one of my good friends. I'll let him introduce himself and go ahead.
How you doing, man? It's good to connect with you. My name is Byron Emerson. Born and raised in Rockford, Illinois, just about an hour and a half outside of Chicago. I am a business person in supply chain for an aerospace company. I am also a recording artist, producer, singer, songwriter, and I've started a couple of business ventures. Currently, I'm located in Amsterdam, Netherlands.
That is what's up, man. You have a very intriguing background. Obviously, he's representing Rockford, Illinois, so it's my hometown. We don't get many people from Rockford to go abroad, so when we make it happen, like I had to make this interview come through. It's actually the first one we're doing via Zoom, and then I know it's been one of those things where we've been interviewing a lot of people from here because they're so close regionally. And I actually, to be honest, even though I know Byron, I don't know a lot about his story and how he made it abroad. So this is going to be something that I'm gonna learn a lot from, as well as the audience. So I guess starting with the first obvious question, what made you move abroad in the first place?
Yeah, so the aerospace company I work for is a large international company. I've been with them since April 2011, so almost 10 years next year. And I think we're up to, with the recent merger, we're up to 200,000 employees worldwide. So when I finished my MBA in 2012 and I started full time with this company, one of my first assignments was to work with one of our customers in Montreal, Canada. And so I was still fresh, still young. I think I was like 20, 23, 22, 23, and or going on 24, I think, yeah. And I'd never left the country before. I got my passport expedited the day before I had to go out there, and I knew nothing about the place, but Montreal is in the heart of French Canada, and seeing the street signs in French, being greeted in French, hearing a lot of French language, and seeing the history, that just like boom! I'd never experienced anything like that before, and that was really the start of me seeing something outside of, let alone Rockford, but the country. And as a young black man, it was just it was so eye opening, and I've been hooked ever since. So I did that for about 18 months, 2 weeks. It was an assignment where I was 2 weeks there, 2 weeks home, 2 weeks there, 2 weeks home, 2 weeks there, 2 weeks home, for about 18 months. Yeah. And as my career progressed, within the company, I was blessed with another opportunity in 2016 to take a managerial role at another one of our sites, still with the same company, in Wolverhampton, United Kingdom. So that I was living in Birmingham, UK, and working in Wolverhampton. So Birmingham is the second city. It just passed Manchester as the second city after London, and it's about a 2-hour drive right in the middle of the country. And so that now at this point, 2016 to the end of 2018, I was actually living as an expat in the UK, and that was eye opening in its own right. I met some great people. I learned a lot of cool things, but being in that part of the world and being able to access Europe much easier, that was really when I was like, all right, now I'm in this position. I'm making a little bit more money. It's time to see some things. Yeah. So within those 2.5 years, I went to Egypt. I went to Cairo, Egypt to see the pyramids. I went to Croatia twice. I went to Spain 3 times. I visited here, Amsterdam for the first time, and then I visited here 5 more times trying to make sure that I could put a plan together to make the move. I went to Australia, and it was really just like figuring out how cheaper it was, and just how much I was learning just by traveling a bit more. So the main thing that kicked it off was work, and then that just it's been snowballing ever since in a positive way.
So I guess with the experience that you've had going to so many different places, and that's one of the things that we suggest here on the Personal Idea Plan. Like take vacations, take trips, take extended stays if you can. What made you land on Amsterdam in particular as a compared to Montreal, which is closer, or UK
Yeah.
speaks only English?
Yeah. Um, when I first visited here, I'll take it back to my first European trip, which didn't go the way that I thought it would. I'm living in the UK, and I'm ready to go. So I'm all right, cool. My first trip, Barcelona, going by myself. I want to see the beach. I want to go to Spain. So I go, and me being an inexperienced traveler, being an American who just had way too much stuff with him, you could have picked me out of the crowd pretty easily. So I ended up getting my wallet and my passport stolen
Ouch.
on my very first Euro trip. Completely my fault, like just not being aware. But it was Labor Day weekend, so um, the consulate wasn't open until the Tuesday. So I was paying what I could pay on my Apple Pay. My mom had to wire me some money. It was a mess, but it was an experience, and it really taught me of some valuable lessons on what it is to travel, let alone travel by yourself. So that was in September of 2016, and as soon as I got the next opportunity, I was back on it again. I've learned my lessons. So the very next month, I was like, all right, I'm gonna go somewhere a little closer. Amsterdam is only an hour flight, and it's Amsterdam, right? So you hear all the legends, you hear all the stories about Amsterdam. The red light district. Well, Amsterdam's known for legal prostitution, or the red light district, and legal marijuana, right? So that's what we all see and hear about Amsterdam, similar to Vegas, right? But you can go to Vegas and go do so many other different things besides strip clubs and gambling and partying.
I like here when people hear Colombia, the first thing they think is cocaine and
Exactly,
there's
for sure.
diversity, so much other things to get into. Go ahead.
100%. Yeah. So when I came here, I was by myself, and I instantly knew it. I instantly fell in love with the place. It's the most open place I've ever been to. Creative collaboration. People just want to make here. And looking at the history, just how the city is structured. I'm living now in a home that was built in 1750. The church is right there. The church is the oldest building in Amsterdam. That was built in 1306, and everyone here is on bikes. I mean, the healthier lifestyle, the health care is. I can go on and on, but I think the main thing about the Netherlands and Amsterdam is the openness. I mean, people here, if someone has an idea, they're like, let's do it. There's no, oh, we got this roadblock, or we can't do this, or no one's ever done it before. And I felt that very early on, and over the past, and I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I knew I had to be here. So over the span of the next 4 years, I'm living in the UK, still working. I even moved back to Rockford for 15 months, still working. And I said, look, if there's nothing for me in the company, then I have to leave the company. And 2019 was me creating my debut solo album, Corporate Dropout. And if you're listening to the theme, it's really me. It's like my sign off. It's like my resignation letter. I was ready to quit. I was ready to take a little bit of my retirement, move here, and start over in January of 2020 of this year. And luckily enough, something opened up within the company. So I'm still doing both, which is good.
That's actually going to be my next question. Actually, in reference to the music thing, I'm actually a huge fan. I pulled up my Apple Music thing for the year. Somebody had posted on Facebook, and I noticed I listened to your music for a total of 5 hours, which placed you a little bit above Jay-Z, which is a lot to say because I love Jay-Z. You can look at my background. I always have artists. I think I have Biggie in the other room, but I got the late great Nipsey behind me. So congratulations on the music. Keep it coming. We're really enjoying it, and we'll talk about how to find that later. So,
Yeah,
as
man,
far as
thank
work
you.
is concerned, how are you sustaining yourself? How did you finagle that? Like, what did you negotiate, bargain? What's that process looking like for people that are in corporate America, but they have international conglomerates that allows you to travel abroad?
Yeah, so obviously it's based on the different companies, but most of the companies that are large like mine and international like mine, they're used to it, right? Their customer base is international, their supply base is international, and they want the most diverse talent that they can have in the best spots. So everything up in I've probably had five different major roles in this career that I've had with this company, and I've got a really good mentor, and every role that I've had um, has been like a perfect fit role. It's been that mentor saying, "All right, this is your next challenge," or "I need help here," because that mentor has moved around quite a bit. He's German, but he was working in Rockford at the time when I started. And every time he went somewhere, I went with him. We're kind of like a tag team duo. And I was just being honest with him and being upfront and really telling him that this is where I needed to be. It was just on my heart. And I sat down and I said, look, if we can't find something, then I'm gonna have to hand in my letter of resignation. I was truly ready. My mom was very disappointed, but I was truly ready to do that. And there wasn't anything available at the time. We have different packages, right? There was two major packages when a company like mine. You can be a traditional expat, which comes with a 1 to 2 year contract. You're still getting, and this is what I was on in the UK, still getting paid by the US business entity, US business location for my company as that 2 year expat. But then what we're doing here is I'm actually on a local contract. So we found one of our sites here, and the contract that I'm on is directly linked to that site. So I'm not linked to an American site anymore. Still the same company, but that comes with a 5 year contract. I'm getting paid. I'm getting paid in euros now. I am a permanent resident here. So yeah, it's a little bit different this time, but most big companies will have those two different. At least my company has those two different options. You're either an expat, and it's a shorter term, and you're still technically reporting to an American entity for legal purposes, or you've signed a local contract, which is what I've done here, which is much better.
No, it sounds a lot better. I work in education, and I know teachers that come down here to teach English, as
Mm,
opposed to people that actually get a contract with an international school, which is what I have. And it's a completely different experience, pay-wise, benefits. Like with my situation, they pay for your housing, your flights, your healthcare. I get paid
yeah,
in local currency and U.S. currency. They pay for your visa. What's really interesting, a lot of people don't know, is you went to, now it's called Rockford University, but it used to be Rockford College back then. You and I
mhm,
actually graduated at the same time. I got my
mhm,
Master of Arts in Teaching. You got your
yeah,
MBA at the same time. That's actually when we met, because I'm a little bit older than Byron, which not a lot older, but at our age in high school, you'll completely miss a person if you got them by 4 or 5 years. It's one of those
gotcha.
things where I remember you were hooping, and I see you in the paper every once in a while. I'm like, all right, this kid might do something with basketball. Whatever happened with that, the basketball situation.
Yeah, so I was a late bloomer when it comes to sports and basketball, but mostly basketball. And from freshman year of high school is when I started to get good, and that progression really continued all the way through university. So I was blessed enough to receive a scholarship to play at an NAIA school in Clinton, Iowa, called Ashford University. and it was only about an hour and a half west of Rockford, so right on the border of Iowa and Illinois. And I continued to get better, and first freshman in school history to be named to the all conference team and scored over 1,000 points, even though I only played 3 years because I blew out my knee my junior year and I didn't get that year back. And it was fun. I enjoyed it. I met some great people, and I had a little look in Mexico once I graduated. But my body was I just didn't love it enough. It was 2010, let's put it that way, coming off of the recession, the Great Recession, or really kicking off the Great Recession after the crash in 2008, and it was time to go to work. It was time to make some money. My parents weren't doing well at the time, so I moved back to Rockford, and I met Jeff Fahrenwald. Started working for the MBA program. Started working for the MBA office, going in to get my MBA. And then the brilliant thing was with that situation, and this is kind of how the Sunstrand, who I work for now, started, is they were looking for, Sunstrand was looking for some help from Rockford University. And the Jeff Fahrenwald, being the brilliant man that he is, said, well, why don't you use our graduate assistants? They're only working part-time now. They're going to school in the evenings, and they can be part-time interns there at Collins Aerospace now, and it all fits, right? So I was a part of that first group of MBA interns going to Rockford University, working part-time at Collins Aerospace, and then going to class at night. So there were 8 of us, and that started in 2011, 2011, and ever since then, there's probably been, just off of the people that I know, at least 25 to 30 people who have done that, and we were that first group. Terrence Foreman. I mean, I can go down the line, and it's been a really good program. A lot of those people now, have good careers. And it was good. Sorry, that kind of went all over the place, but it's just trying to connect the two. So yeah, I was done. I love basketball, but I didn't love it that much to make less than $30,000 a year at that time in my life.
No, it makes complete sense. The reason why I actually even brought it up, because I know it doesn't seem related to traveling abroad, but just going back to being African American, being Black folk, often we frown down upon the athlete, not realizing this can be an opportunity to help you get a scholarship, to help you get that education, to put you in a position to get that internship. And people are like, oh, we need to do stuff outside of basketball. No, if that's your ticket for right now, let's use it. Had you gotten to Mexico, let's use it, get that experience. I feel like we don't always allow Black people to dream. So it's okay to have those dreams. And if they don't work out, have a plan B or have what you have it. But so that's the reason why I brought that up. So I thought that was pretty much dope. I guess another question I would like to ask you, what would you do differently? If you had to do it all over again, start from day one, okay, you kind of have that hindsight 2020 situation. How would you approach it differently as far as the travel situation?
It's a weird, I don't want to call it a weird answer. It's probably not an answer that an interviewer wants to hear, but it's the truth. I wouldn't do anything differently, man. Like everything that has happened ever since I took the first leap, which was moving to the UK, I would say, man, like I'm happy. Everyone I've met, all the things I've been able to do. I didn't start releasing music until I moved to the UK, or towards the end of my stint in the UK, because just being there showed me that you just don't have the pressures that you have in America, or the capitalism and greed that we don't always see. Doesn't get in the way. I remember trying to hit up talented artists when I was first starting back home, and they want $200 before I even play them the music, or before I even get to express what my creative ideas are. And that got in the way a little bit for me. But once I got to the UK, none of that was there, and people just wanted to make. And so I wouldn't change I wouldn't change anything that's happened so far. Thank God.
No, I think that's a very interesting answer because I've actually gotten that from a few people that I've asked that question to. And I feel the same, even having situations where you may get robbed or you may get pickpocketed. Those are experiences that help provide perspective.
For sure.
About, even what happened with school or, the job before. Could we always do something better? Of course. But I think the biggest thing is to go out there and explore and see what happens so you don't have a what if situation, which a lot of people die with those what if scenarios. So you mentioned the music and you started rapping. I remember when you first picked it up, and I've seen actually the growth. I don't say this to everybody just easily. You've gotten way better to the point where you're at the international stage. So how is your music career going overseas? Are you feel like you get more love there, abroad, or back home? How's that working for you?
Yeah, it's good. I always tell Jordan, my roommate, my brother, who we met in 2017 at a music festival in Croatia, and he's Australian, Samoan, and off the bat we hit it off, and we've been living together ever since, just doing this music and creative thing together, which is cool. I always tell him, if we had a schedule, we'd be ahead of it. Ever since just like putting myself out there and going back to the collaboration, the open collaboration that just happens more outside of America for a number of reasons, but it just happens more outside of America. That's helped me grow. From basketball to the corporate world to music, I know what I don't know, and then I'm okay with pulling the right people together and making sure that their strengths and weaknesses are in the right spots and catering to my strengths and weaknesses, and then we make something great. So, my debut album, Corporate Dropout, was recorded in Birmingham, UK. We did some in Australia, San Francisco, Chicago, and a lot of it was home. And there's over 27 collaborators on the album. And one night, that intro, if you really break down the intro, which is called the outro, I went back to Birmingham. This is when I was living in Rockford. I went back to the UK just for a weekend, because I was still reporting to the UK, so my boss was still in the UK. So I went back for a week, and I went to an open mic night, and I met some people who I knew the organizer of the open mic, but I met some new people that night, and I said, I'm here, I'm working on my music, and I was able to get a bassist, vocalist, piano, keys. All the people I met that night said pull. I told them to pull up the next day, and they did, and we made music, and that creative collaboration is just next level. I mean, it's next level, and that's been the reason why I've been able to excel and grow. So we moved here in January of 2020, and the plan was hit the ground running. So February. We got here in January to this year, 2020. February, and I released my album on January 17th, which was the day I moved here. So February, Valentine's Day came around. I went back to Birmingham, United Kingdom, and did an album release party there. So that was love. We did 2 gigs there in Birmingham, and then came home. We did a charity event for the Australian bushfires here in Amsterdam. And then we had another gig lined up. And then we also started organizing our own gigs. So we were able to do all that in February. And then obviously, the lockdown happened. And the reception and the openness, like I said, has just been, 10 times better. And that's what's really, really helped. Even during this coronavirus situation, we had 2 intimate gigs. One was on a boat, which was awesome. We did one at a bar, seating only. And that's one of the business that we have here at Opa House is we're a collective of creatives who we support marginalized creatives, no matter where you come from, no matter what you're doing. So Black people, LGBTQ, women, art. This photographer is from Rotterdam. He's Middle Eastern. So we're able to organize our own things, and I've got all my own equipment. So when it's time to hit the ground running, we're going to be ready to hit the ground running. And again, it keeps going back to that open creative collaboration that people are just like, hey, let's do it.
I think that's super dope. It kind of goes back to the whole thing. It's hard to be a prophet in your hometown.
For sure.
And so just kind of getting abroad, broadening your horizons, help get you different experiences. You wouldn't have made those connections. You wouldn't have made those contacts had you stayed on the south side or west side of Rockford. I
For
believe
sure.
you have roots in the south side of Rockford because when I was telling my mother about this interview, she's like, yeah, his family grew up close to us around Garden Hills and the Terrace, which is
Yeah.
south side as it comes, right?
Yeah, I grew up on South Central in my grandmother's house. So, and I went to Lathrop up until it was fifth grade was when we moved to the east side, and then it was Flint, Guilford, etc. But from birth up until fifth grade, it was South Side, and all my cousins are on the South Side. So, Joe's Derriette, that's home. That's me.
If you look at my music video, I didn't do Joe's, I did Zamudo's because at the time Joe's was doing remodeling, but I always went to Joe's area. I'm
For sure.
there. So I
For
guess
sure.
I'm gonna go to the FAQs. We
Yeah.
always get these questions because we are on the Black Financial Channel. People want to know how it is. How is it being Black in Europe in general, but now that you're in Amsterdam, how do you?
Man, it's I thought I had an idea, but it's evolving, and I think it's evolving in a positive way, or at least I'm going to be able to share some stories and some experiences in a positive way. So this place is very, very historical. Amsterdam, the Netherlands in general, but Amsterdam, and they archive everything, and it's free and it's accessible. So their archive building, they have enough paper in there that can stretch 50 kilometers. So they're really huge on history. And what I recently learned, because once George Floyd's situation happened, I wasn't prepared, and we're still all in education. Well, most of us are still in education mode, and for me, I think that's the most important step, and I think that's the first step. Whether you're Black, whether you're white, no matter where you live, it's educational, right? And even to the point where like our parents and as I'm looking at history and I'm looking at our generations, with our fathers growing up in the 80s, 70s and 80s, or really hitting manhood in the 70s and 80s, even that is too far to the right or after the 60s and the 50s and the time before that. So even our parents can do some more educating in that sense. But while I was doing my education, wow, man, oh man, this country was the first ever. They created capitalism. Let's put it that way. The Netherlands created capitalism. They had the first ever stock market, and you're talking way back. So what they had two companies, the East India Company and the West India Company. I forget which is which, but one of them was for spices. So they sailed over to Indonesia and they slaughtered, killed and took land and took goods and spices from those people. And they became very rich off of that. And the other thing that they did was on their way home, they went to Africa and did the same thing. So the American slave story and the Dutch slave story, which is why America and the Netherlands has such a great relationship, they are the same. The Netherlands was the major supplier of slaves to America. The Netherlands abolished slavery 2 years. Sorry, the Dutch abolished slavery 2 years before America abolished slavery. Our brothers and sisters are these Dutch Black people. And as I've been, and this is just recent education, I still have a lot to learn and a lot to do. But as I've learned this and seen this, it's such a dynamic. It's like two ends of the spectrum with where the Dutch have gone, where they are now to where they were. Right? They've acknowledged what they've done, what they did was wrong, and they've put things in place to not correct it, but just just to be human, just to have that social responsibility. So I'm trying to find those connections where I can tell those stories of this um, black plight. And yeah, things aren't great here now, or things aren't amazing now. That we still have, projects here in Amsterdam. There's still black communities who are still struggling and still fighting. We literally are in what's called Black Pete, Zwarte Piet controversy with blackface, with Santa Claus, which is their Santa Claus. I won't get into too much detail with that, but any YouTube or Google search, if you look at Black Pete, and it's really where a celebration where everybody's wearing blackface. So we have our own challenges here, but the biggest eye-opening thing has been these black brothers and sisters around the world, but really here in the Netherlands, but we are the same. Like we all came from the same place, and we all have our same struggles. But I think what really separates it, and this is why I want to tell these stories and get this connection, because you have racism, you have slavery in the past, but you have that human right challenge. So here, as opposed to America, you're not going to lose your health insurance if you lose your job. The gun violence is nowhere near what we have in America. The capitalism and the greed is nowhere near what we have in America. So the educational systems are obviously much better. The healthcare system overall is much better. So when you remove those things, or when those things are available to everybody, no matter if you're black, white, gay, or straight, then you can really get to the issue of things. I think in America, because we have all that other stuff to deal with, whether you're black or white, it's hard for us to get to the root of some of these issues and start to fix them. And I think those are the two ends of the spectrum that I really want to start, telling these stories and connecting, and so that people can, really understand this is why we can't get past it, because we're still dealing with all these other basic human things that America hasn't seemed to be able to figure out.
I also think it goes back to something you said earlier, is the acknowledgement. Like, this happened. This was a wrong. This is an atrocity. It should have never happened. And whether we get reparations or not, which I'm all for reparations, is that at least let me know that you did something wrong.
For sure.
And if I knew you owed me some money and you're like, well, I ain't going to pay you, at least acknowledge the fact that you owe me the money. And then we move on from that to figure out how to repair those things. So that makes a lot of sense.
We got a long way to go.
We have a long way to go everywhere. Here in Colombia, it's the same. In the States, definitely. I think we have longer to go. But when you do have those basic things like education, healthcare, it changes the dynamics, because poverty is usually in line amongst the marginalized people. So it impacts, minorities or African Americans or black people differently. So if you take out some of those poverty aspects, because we're very intelligent, we tend to rise, so we just need to remove some of those barriers. So I think that's dope. So what would you say, what's the cost of living and where you're at right now in Amsterdam in comparison to a modern city in the US as far as day-to-day living?
Yeah, so I'm smack dab in the red light. It doesn't get any more central Amsterdam than where I am now. I think you got to look at it from a national level, and then look at it from, whether you want to live in the city or, a little bit outside of the city. But taxes are high. But for me, it's time over money. So as I mentioned, healthcare, great plans. It's not connected to my job. Unemployment, even if I do lose my job, I still got healthcare, but unemployment is 75% of your income for up to a year. And what they've done here with all of the canals and the bicycle is there's more bikes than people here. Let's put it that way. And the public transport system is just unbelievable. So I say all that to say I haven't had a car since 2018, and just not having a car has put so much more money in my pocket. it's unbelievable, right? So not having a car has been great for my pockets. And the place that I'm living in, it's a bit on the pricey side, but I think if I were sorry.
Give us a ballpark figure. What's the pricey side?
Yeah, so the place I'm living in is 3,000 euros a month, so probably 3,300 US dollars a month. I do have a roommate who splits it with me, but I also, I'm running a business out of this place. So the space, if I wasn't doing the business things, I'd be looking at a place a little bit more cheaper. But again, I don't have a car, so the the monthly, quarterly, and annual maintenance of the car alone, the gas that I spend on the car alone, if I got a card payment, all that is back in my pocket that I can put towards living. And there's more opportunities to have side hustles here. So for instance, my housekeeper, I learned that she lost her job. She was working at a hotel. So last week I started a business called Cleaner House, and we have our fourth and fifth clients tomorrow. So I'm able to help her out while making a little bit more money on the side. So that's good. But again, like when you're not paying, when you don't have to worry about a big bill because you have to go to the doctor and get some health care, get some things taken care of, then that money comes back to you. But I always come back to time over money. So I get 40 days vacation a year. And then I also get a bonus in June, which is 8% of my salary every year. So me not having to dedicate that time to a job, 40 days a year is a lot of time. In those 40 days, I'm able to, take some time off, but I'm able to work on other things where I can make some more money on the side and do all these different business ventures. But I would say for the standard, cost of living, you can compare Amsterdam to any other bigger city. But if you can be smart about it, it's actually cheaper. Like I said, not having a car, not having to pay for the crazy health expenses. The public transport is unbelievable. And the entrepreneurial aspects, I think it's 33% of the economy here is freelancer entrepreneurs. So if you do it the right way, if you do it smart and diversify yourself, then it's a little bit less than living in a big city like Chicago.
Okay. No, I think that's incredible. I actually love Chicago, but only in the summertime.
Yeah.
It's an expensive city. If you can figure out how to finagle different ways to make Amsterdam affordable, I guess my question for you would be, do you have an extra bedroom? And when this pandemic ends, can I crash on the sofa, futon?
Listen, man, like the whole Black Boy Abroad thing is coming purely from I need to show as many people this as possible, especially Black people, especially Black boys. So, my doors are open. That's the other reason why I'm paying a little bit of extra for this place, because I want this to be, our business is called Open House. So to answer your question, yes, I got a room upstairs that's open. The studio has a bed, which is downstairs, which is open as well. Whenever you're ready, whenever anybody is ready. Like I've had a few things that fell through, and it's just that once a Black man or a Black person steps outside of the country for the very first time, which you're very familiar with, our whole world changes. And that's my mission. It's just if I can support giving that feeling to as many Black Americans as possible. That's what it is for me. That's what the podcast is going to be about. That's what my music is about. So yeah, man, our doors are open. You just let me know when you're ready.
I can appreciate it. That's probably one of the reasons why I do relate to the music, because when I'm listening to the songs about the time zones, it's killing me and and stuff like that. I think it resonates with me because I've been abroad going on 8 years now.
Yeah.
So a couple other AQs. We're almost wrapping this up. What is the one item when you're traveling, let's say you're about to city hop in Europe, that you just have to have with you outside of your smartphone? So what's the item you have to have with you?
Outside of the smartphone and the passport, obviously in the wallet and all that stuff. So the one item, It's got to be the laptop paired with the headphones. You know, as you know, everybody knows, but you know, my work laptop is a Dell, but I bought a new MacBook last year, and I'm just learning all the different things that can be done with it. Just having access to the internet, but all the different things that can be done with it. I need to have my laptop with me at all times,
I know what
and now a microphone as well.
you got. You never know when the inspiration is going to hit you to make music.
For sure.
I definitely got to get back in the lab at some point in time.
Yeah.
So I guess the question is, where can we find your music? Where can we find you? And we're going to put the links in the description for, like, you know, your videos and your website.
Yeah.
Where can we find you?
Yeah, so I'm really trying to streamline everything. So if you go to my website, www.blackboyabroad.com, www.blackboyabroad.com, that's my personal website. As soon as you get there, you'll see my videos, and if you can sign up for our email communication, regular email communication. And then at the bottom of that website, you've got my Spotify link, my Apple Music link, and my Instagram. And then from my Instagram, everything else filters. So the prime area is just to go to my website, www.blackboyabroad.com.
All right, guys, there you have it. www.blackboyabroad.com. Definitely will make sure we put the link in the description. Byron, it's been a pleasure. I've actually learned a lot about you in these 45 minutes that I didn't know before. Be candid. And we're actually going to have you on here again, because I know we're going to get some questions. So people, don't forget to comment, hit the like button, subscribe, and ask some questions if you want to have some follow-up. And I look forward to being on your podcast later.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much, dude. It's hard to connect with other Black boys abroad. It's just a mindset thing, and I want to thank you for the opportunity. I'm proud of you because you come from where I come from, and you're doing it. And we need stuff like this because that's the only way that people can see it, right? Like, I was shown by accident because I did it for work. We are in a position that we can make things better for our community, for our brothers and sisters. And I'm not saying, you know, people got to move, but like I said, that first moment outside the country, Americans don't travel overall, right? But that first move outside the country is just eye-opening, and it to the point where, okay, that person's then going to go back home and move a little differently, or they're going to try some things. So I am all for showing as many Black people as I can what it is outside of America. And I can see that you're doing that too, and we're going to build this community. So I really appreciate it. I am proud of you. So thank you, man.
I really appreciate it. Proud of you too, bro. And so, guys, thank you for tuning in. Again, thank you for tuning into the Personal Exit Plan, and I'll see you guys next week. Peace.
Easy, man. Cheers.